Dennis Rodman was not only one of the best defenders, but he was one of the most feared.
He made rebounding and defense sexy.
It's just not basketball that we have to deal with on this team. It's not just it's the pressure of the bullshit. You know, I play the game for free, but you get paid for the bullshit after. Basketball is simple. It's a simple game, but when you leave this confined zone, it's hard.
Led the NBA in rebounds for the last 5 years. Please welcome back Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman, what's up? I was shocked at the Chicago Bulls even asking me to come. I think I was a little more eccentric for them.
There's something about you that's frightening.
Is it because I'm different?
Oh, and Rodman just hit the photographer. The photographer is hurt. That is the last we will see of Dennis Rodman.
It's so funny when Dennis talks from a different position because Dennis always had to guard the toughest person. And then he always had to be Dennis Rodman on top of that. But from his planet, you know, he was obviously a colonel in the Army from his planet. He can do it. Well, what did Scotty say while he was sitting next to Dennis? Because he used to not like him.
Oh, Pippen didn't like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see a lot of people not liking Dennis Rodman.
But until you get to know him.
Yeah.
You don't, if you have to play against him, hell no, you're not going to like him. But when you get him on your squad, you realize he's a puppeteer.
Do you remember your first meeting with Rodman?
Oh, it was awful. I walk into Jerry Krause's house. He's sitting on a couch. He's got a po' boy hat over his eyes. He's got the rings in his nose and his mouth. And he doesn't stand up to meet me. So I said, stand up, Dennis. Take your hat off, shake hands. Let's go outside and talk.
We had to break bread then at the house. So basically said, Dennis, you want to come play for the Bulls? I said, I don't care, whatever, what's up?
Was that Rodman's antics made him a star, a superstar, but they also obscured how good he was. I think sometimes people think of him only for the crazy stuff and don't remember how good he was. How good was Dennis Rodman as a player?
Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they listed him at 6'9", he was 6'8", and to lead the league in rebounding 7 years in a row, and to play position defense the way he did on a variety of players, from guys that were 6'2", 6'3", to Shaquille O'Neal at 7'2", and 320, 340 pounds, is absolutely amazing. And one of the great nights, Greeny, if I can share the story, is we're out in Miami after the Miami game, and we're at an establishment, and Terry Armour, who covered the Bulls for the Tribune at the time, was in talking to Dennis, and Tony Kukoc was there, myself, and Johnny Red Kerr, and we're just chit-chatting and talking about basketball. And Terry was grilling him about basketball and what Dennis has watched us for and how he plays the game and position and spacing and just running the floor and hustling. Terry left that evening, and I was talking to him, and he goes, I did not know how smart that man was and how much basketball he really knew and how much attention he pays to the game, because everyone is just worried about what he's doing off the court, and that does take away from his basketball legacy. He was in the building, and then he just left. And I was like, well, where's he going? And Phil comes down and says, give Dennis a little bit of time off. He's got 48 hours, which we kind of all knew was going to get extended. And then when we found out he was going to Vegas, then it was Dennis just being Dennis. But we also understood, you know, as a player on the team, you know there are different rules for different players. Some guys can do more than others. Obviously, Michael, Scotty were treated differently, and Dennis as well. But we also knew that we needed Dennis to play. And if Dennis needed a little bit of time off and needed to blow off some steam, so to speak, then that was fine. And that was cool with us because we knew when he came back, he was going to be ready to play.
Well, I didn't see it that way. There's a lot of things I don't see. Most of the time, though, I see the shit you do.
When Dennis wants to tell me something, I know it's not something that I don't fucking want to hear. Dennis says, I need a vacation. And I look at Phil and say, Phil, what do you mean, vacation? He says he needs a vacation. He needs some time off to let loose. If anybody needs a fucking vacation, I need a vacation. We look at Dennis and say, Dennis, what are you going to do? He says, well, I need to go to Vegas. Can your vacation be like 48 hours? Go straight to the airport? Boom. They don't hear and see Dennis for 48 hours.
I went to the fucking Vegas.
Did Dennis come back on time?
He didn't come back on time, but ready to go get his ass out of bed. And I'm not going to say what's in his bed and where he was and blah, blah, blah.
There's a knock on the door. It's Michael Jordan. And I hid. I didn't want him to see me like that, so I'm just hiding behind the couch with covers over me. Come on, we gotta get to practice.
Dennis Rodman, once again, was nowhere to be found.
Is it true that Dennis wasn't at practice today?
That's true.
Is that an excuse to have?
No, it's not.
What transpired?
I don't know. He's not here.
Dennis Rodman was drifting apart from the team one year emotionally. He was a very quiet guy, behind the scenes, and separated himself from the group sometimes. So Phil would try to pull him back in. And so one day in Philadelphia, we had a game. And after the game, we had that night free, staying in Philadelphia. Phil came to Jud Buechler and me, and he said, "Hey, listen, Dennis is drifting away from the team. I want you guys to go with him to Atlantic City tonight. He chartered a bus. He's gone down there to play blackjack, and I want you guys to hang with him." And Jud and I were like, "Oh, okay. Well, we're just the guys for the job." So we had a wild night with Dennis in Atlantic City. Stayed out all night. Came back to the hotel at 7 in the morning, and we had to practice that morning. And as we walked into the hotel, there was Phil looking at us, and Jud and I didn't know how to behave. And he just said, "Go get your stuff on. Practice starts in 2 hours." And Dennis had the day off because all the starters had the day off. And he just turned to us and said, "See you later, suckers."
I totally get it. What do you know about Dennis Rodman that we don't know?
That he is a kind, gentle soul who loves his teammates. He is emotional. He's passionate about life, about people, about the game. So everything that you saw, or that you continue to see, I guess at times, to me is kind of an act. It's just it's just Dennis kind of messing around, but at his core, he's just a wonderful soul.
Well, Dennis is himself, and he's a guy that's to himself, and I'm to some degree that same type of person, but
So you're just like Rodman, huh?
No, I'm not like Rodman. But, I realize what type of person Dennis is, and I don't try to invade into his territory.
Let us in. Let us know what kind of person he is, because we sure as hell can't figure it out.
Well, he's a quiet person, and he's to himself, and when I'm around him, he talks, and he talks to guys on the team. Everybody looks at Dennis, for what he does when he plays in a game, and I don't see him that way. He puts on a show when he goes on the court, but so does Michael Jordan, so does Scottie Pippen. Everybody has their approach to the game, and Dennis have a little bit different approach.
Marvelously talented. I keep kidding him he's not in shape, but I'm playing him 47, 48 minutes. Then he goes in and rides a bike for an hour. He's one of those people. He's a gifted athlete. He's got great determination, great attitude, wants to win big time, and a fun guy to coach. I wish I had about 24 of them.
He had 20.
Dennis Rodman has sat in that seat. He's
My
been
buddy
here.
Dennis, yeah.
Dennis Rodman shows up 93, 94, and he's now your teammate.
Yeah.
And this is a unique cat.
Yeah,
he is.
That's an understatement right there, yeah.
How did oil and water mix?
Yeah. You know what? And I love Dennis. I really do. He's an unbelievable player, incredibly athletic. He was like Superman. He just, just a freak of nature. A guy could run all day long, never got tired, and was like the Energizer Bunny. I loved having him next to me on the court because you always felt like, you just got a warrior with you. So on the court, he's a great guy to have next to you. In the locker room, it's a little different story, but he marches to the beat of his own drum. Like when you need a leader doesn't do that. A leader needs to be tuned into what everybody else is doing. A leader needs to say, hey, how do I help this guy and that guy and that guy? And so that was hard for him. He's not that guy. I really do love Dennis. He's a guy who, we bonded over that time while we were playing together, and he, He just didn't fit our culture, and we had to go different directions. But in that locker room, we needed more. We were not that team yet. We were trying to get over the hump.
I ain't say nothing.
Hey, Shaq, Kobe, Dennis on the same team. Who's the biggest superstar?
Superstar?
Yeah. Shaq, Kobe, and Dennis on the same team. Who's the biggest superstar?
You.
No.
Kobe?
Dennis Rodman.
I know that. I mean, I heard all the stories.
Bro.
Yeah, I thought you was talking about just superstar. You told me some stories now.
This dude would come in. The meeting's at 5:30. Like, you got to be there at 5:30, 45 minutes ago. He'll come in with 40 minutes on the clock, eating chicken and rice, not paying attention. Doing in the middle of the meeting, take a cold shower. Not paying attention. We go out first, then he'll come out, give you 25 rebounds, stinking like put his clothes on and go to the club and had the baddest woman I've ever seen in my life. Surrounded him, hugging him,
That's the
kissing
reason you
him.
don't like him is because he had the baddest women.
No, I'm like, this, it stank like, he smelled like garbage truck water. And he got models on him at the club. Like, I was a party guy. I thought some party, I had some things, but I ain't never seen what I seen with Dennis Rodman. I was actually mad. Me and Uncle Roman.
What I mean. Like, he's with
I was
Carmen
mad.
Electra.
Yeah, I was mad. Not because he had the girl. I'm like, this can't even watch this. He didn't.
My five.
All right, let's get to.
But Michael wasn't the reason. He didn't beat us in the championship. He did not beat us, man. We was on his ass. He didn't beat us. Dennis Rodman's the one who beat us. We had no answer for his ass, man.
Really?
We had no answer for Dennis Rodman. I mean, every time that they needed a second shot or something special or extra rebound or tip in, this motherfucker was flying and winking and, I mean,
He said winking.
kissing and winking and kissing and shit. Frustrating everybody on the team, man. Dennis not even like that. He just do that shit to irritate you,
Just to
man.
fuck with you.
He just doing that shit there. He had
Mind
every big man
games.
on my team just flustered, man.
What kind of shit would he do?
I'm gonna tell you with Frank Bukowski, man, Dennis started wearing color contacts during the championship. He started wearing color contacts during the championship with some lip shit on, man. He would be like he was trying to kiss Frank's arm and this shit, and then Frank just couldn't take it, man. It was just the man in him just couldn't allow it.
I'd have lost it too. I'd have lost it too, dog.
Dennis knew what buttons to push, man. And we needed Frank to rebound and shit, man. And this motherfucker, he got him all discombobulated, man. I'm just like, come on, man. So yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely, man. Dennis Rodman, he
How was his defense?
man, his defense was good. He wasn't dealing me.
No, you still did. You saw your numbers.
I'm just too big for Dennis.
Right.
You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? I'm a little bit too big for Dennis. I don't think that's a fair match.
And agile too. Yeah.
But his defense was great, man. Like I said, he was just tipping the ball in, rebounding, high knee, and doing all this silly shit, man. All the shit that you hate to see.
About kicking.
Dennis Rodman had a brief stint here. What was that like?
Oh, it's wild. I mean, I'm a big Chicago Bulls fan in the 90s there, obviously. So he was one of my heroes. And then, Cubes bought the team my second year, halfway through. And he's like, we need to make a splash here. We need to get on the map. This is a Cowboys town, and I want to bring the Mavericks back. I think I'm going to go sign Dennis Rodman. And we're like, are you serious? But he ended up doing it, and it was quite an experience. So he every time. So as a team meeting, we usually meet with Nelly, obviously, with 40 minutes before the game. So the first game, we have Dennis Rodman. We're all kind of like excited he's starting. So 40-minute rolls around. He gets up. Nelly's about to start the film. Rodman gets up and goes take a shower. I'm like, okay. So he comes back. He didn't see the video. He doesn't know the coverages. So he just goes out and kind of does. Sometimes he squeezes. Sometimes he hedges a little bit. Sometimes he does nothing. So I was like, okay, maybe he just did it one time. Second game, 40 minutes on the clock, he gets up and showers. So he missed all the pregame meetings before the game and had no idea about the coverages that we're doing and kind of did his own thing. And I was like, that was just his routine. At 40 minutes before the game, he was showering. And then after the game, he would just put his own gear on and would go lift hard for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Wouldn't wouldn't be with the team. Would just be find his workout room, and he had his little workout coach, and then they were just lifting heavy for like an hour and a half after the game, and then he just put on a cowboy hat with these long feathers, didn't shower, and just walked right out the arena, and the media scrum was chasing him, and he's mumbling something. It was a comedy sideshow, and then it just wouldn't work. It wasn't working well. Those couple games he was here, and but it was definitely a splash. I mean, the arena was full, and he got kicked out of one game. He sat on the court for a while, and the refs didn't want to throw him out. I mean, it was a lot of stuff happened, which was a cool experience for me, I guess, as a young guy growing up. But it just basketball-wise, it just unfortunately didn't work.
He was a basketball genius, not only a rebounding genius, but defensively, just a basketball genius in terms of how do you stop people from scoring, how do you defend, how do you rebound. And you gotta remember, we was in an era where people really got paid for their offense. You didn't get paid for rebounding, and rebounding wasn't anything that was in fashion. Dennis Rodman, the way he rebounded the basketball and the way he played, he made rebounding and defense sexy. And not only did he make it sexy, he also figured out how to get paid for just rebounding and playing defense. And again, in our era, you didn't get paid for rebounding. Like, a guy, like he came in the locker room one night, I forget who he was playing. He said, I want to try to get 40 rebounds. I'm like, why would you even think that? I'm used to guys coming in saying, I'm gonna get 40 points tonight. I had never in my life heard someone say, I'm gonna get 30 rebounds tonight, or I'm gonna get 40 rebounds tonight. He was the only one that I ever heard really talk about rebounding and enjoyed it in such a fashion that way. And not only was he rebounding, you would see Dennis going, chasing a loose ball out of bounds. And normally guys would dive and try to spike it back in and, get a roll. He would lay out, full, like diving for a loose ball, like he was diving in the swimming pool. And if he caught it, right, and threw it back in, he would be so happy with himself that the fans watching him would be like, they would have to clap because he was so excited that he got that loose ball. That's the type of intensity and energy that he played with, and ferocity that he went after every single ball.
So early on, Dennis Rodman, with no hand check and with hand check, had the agility to move with any point guard in the 90s. I'm talking Isaiah, I'm talking Dumars, I'm talking your favorite guard, I'm talking Mark Price, John Stockton. He had the agility, meaning that if we want to do the hammer, y'all remember the hammer, go, and you slide and you go left, put him in the mix, y'all remember that?
Oh, man.
He could slide left to right laterally with anybody.
Anybody.
He was 6'9" and had the movement of a point guard. So defensively, he didn't give a fuck about a switch. And he long, and guess what at the end? He was physical at the end of whatever he did. So if it was a rebound, it was post out, he would go get the rebound. If he had to contest, he would contest. He played like a Draymond, but more in control. And he wasn't as dirty, I'm not gonna say, you know what I'm saying? But he had tactics where he wouldn't use his elbow, he'd use his body. He would run into you and take the rebound. He would outwork you. Warren was like, could he play? Not only could he play in this league, but he would have been in problem because you had to be physical. You had to initiate physical contact with him to keep him off the boards. And guess what? He'll throw your motherfucking ass. So if you didn't have no strength, if you didn't have something where he respected, man, Warren was a whole problem. They had 49 rebounds in the game, bro. Bro was 6'9", getting 49 rebounds. You hear what I'm saying? That's an engine. Man, that's an engine, bro. That's an engine. That's an engine. And niggas didn't want to play against him either. Dennis Rodman was not only one of the best defenders, but he was one of the most feared.
Very physically strong.
It's a strange comparison to make, but back in the day, I used to hang out a lot with Dennis Rodman when he was playing for the Bulls, and he had freakish strength, kind of similar body, like very long. Not, like you wouldn't look at him and think muscles.
Right.
And Rodman could pick a 250-pound man up with one hand and lift him over a rope. Go into the Bulls locker room after games, and he would work out after games.
Really?
We go because we were going to go out clubbing or whatever, and you go in the locker room, and he'd be working out. And we'd have to sit and wait for him to work out for another 40 minutes after the game. And he'd played. It wasn't like he had a knee injury. I mean, he played the whole game.
Like what kind of workouts? Like lifting weights or something?
Treadmill, whatever he was doing.
Wow.
And it wasn't like light stretching. It was like energizing. And then we go out and stay out all night.